One thing, when we were planning the ceremony in Hawaii, we chose what we wanted, what we didn't want, and we thought that we would put, a lot of weddings have the story of how people got together. And Dan had said to me, everybody knows how Lyman and Dan got together, how we got together. And so I said, really? And then all of a sudden the next day, Dan's brother is saying, how did you guys get together? So I thought, oh, well, maybe we should have had that in the ceremony. So I thought what I'd do today is sort of tell the story of how Dan and I got together. And that...
Lyman, it's a lovely story, and it needs to be told by someone more as a narrative than a first person. And so, given that I love to tell stories, and given the fact that I have loved you both as long as I have, that it just made sense for me to be here to share the story of these two lovely boys. So I think you do this.
Okay, thank God we have a sound system.
Yeah, thank God we have a sound system. Everybody get that? Okay. It was April 19th, 1996.
Who are you? Who are you?
Oh,
You'll get to that part of the story.
I will. My name is Dennis Ford, and I owned a company called Funny Business, and we had all worked together for many, many years. And there's more about that later.
Dan, you want to
So it was
I know
indeed,
where
ignore these guys.
All right.
It was April 19th, 1996.
Chuck, there we go.
Well before smartphones, and it was before Match, Tinder, Bumble, Mingle, Grindr, Binder, all of those. And for historical context, there were still AOL chat rooms. Now, Dan and Lyman were both flying home on separate business trips to Minneapolis. Dan was returning to his home in Denver. Lyman was returning to Phoenix. Now, at that time, Lyman worked for Funny Business Productions with me and Bonnie Arlia, who is here. Now, we're a corporate production company, and we do all kinds of very cool things for corporate meetings, including musical theater. So, Lyman and I were seated across the aisle from one another, exactly like this. Now, I noticed Dan first, actually, and I thought, damn, he's cute. Now, I did see a little gleam in Lyman's eye as well. Well, I leaned over to Lyman and said, Lyman, why don't you say hi? He's really cute.
Dennis, he's on his computer, he's not even looking back here. I can't talk to him.
So Lyman begged off under the auspices that Dan was busy on his computer and he didn't want to interrupt him. So there had really not been any eye contact, there was nothing. Now finally, the pilot announced that we were making our final approach into Denver Airport.
You go to Minneapolis.
Oh no, we're coming from Minneapolis. You gotta stay with the story, man.
So, put away those carry-ons and buckle up. Welcome to the Mile High Club. I'm sorry, the Mile High City.
Now, at that point, Dan started to pack up all of his stuff that was in the seat in front of him. Now, at that point, as Dan was packing up, Lyman noticed Dan had a rainbow ribbon on his bag, along with an Up With People luggage tag. Finally an in. You see, Funny Business had just hired an actress named Shawn Zimmerman for an upcoming gig that we were doing, and she was also a headline performer for, wait for it, Up With People. You guys are very, very good. Now a reason. Lyman tapped Dan on the shoulder and asked him,
Hey, do you know Shawn Zimmerman?
and Dan said,
Yes, of course I know Shawn Zimmerman. Who are you?
and then they chatted briefly as the plane landed in Denver. Lyman learned that Dan was actually moving to Phoenix in 2 weeks, and he mentioned that perhaps the three of them, Shawn, Lyman, and Dan, should get together and go to dinner to welcome him to Phoenix. So no numbers or emails were exchanged, except Lyman did manage to give Dan his business card. was the auspicious meeting on the plane. Now, once home, Lyman called Sean because he wanted to get this going right away. Is this not John?
Hey, you've reached Sean. I'm sorry I'm not here to take your call because I've taken an exciting contract with Holland America Cruise Lines. And I will be at away at sea for the next several months. Ha ha ha! I'll see you when I get back. Bye!
Damn, I hate it when that happens. So there went Lyman's plans out the window because Sean had indeed taken a 6-month gig, would not be around to have the planned dinner with Dan. Now, Dan did indeed have Lyman's business card, but he had no idea actually how big funny business really was. Laughably, he thought it might be a call to a switchboard of a major, huge company, and he would be trying to embarrassingly track down this guy named Lyman. He didn't know that funny business was made up of 5 people. So anyway, 6 months go by. And both Dan and Lyman pretty much go about their lives. At that time, Lyman was training every week with his buddy, David Turner, at Fitness Planet.
David, put that on.
It's a gym in Scottsdale. So we got to get them in their gym togs. Improv theater makes this look easy, it's not. So suddenly, they were working out, as they do, and suddenly, one day in mid-October, while Lyman and David were working out, who walks into the very same gym that Dan? So as they're working out, Lyman turned to David and said,
That's the guy from the airplane.
he said, that guy looks really familiar. I think it's that cute guy from the airplane.
No, I thought I said that.
So Lyman goes over to Dan and, being glib and clever, says,
Hey, you're that guy from the airplane.
Dan recognized him but didn't recall his name either. And that was pretty much their first meeting at the gym. Now, over the next few weeks, Lyman, David, and Dan met regularly at the gym, and they would work out together.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
At some point, Lyman worked out too. We're not sure when that was. Oh, clearly not ever. Oh, okay. But they did learn that they had very much in common, especially travel and a love of theater. But Lyman was in one of his I'm not asking anyone out phases. If someone wanted to go out with him, they were going to have to ask. But by the end of November, Dan had not yet asked Lyman out. And they continued to have a blast while they were working out.
Okay.
Now, it actually turns out that Dan had been dating a guy from Kansas City and was in the middle of breaking up with him.
Turn around.
That guy? This isn't working. This isn't working. You're accusing me of being a liar, and I can't be with someone I don't trust.
Well, I'm very untrustable, so yeah, bye-bye.
And that pretty much ended it. Well, Lyman was running out of patience, so on November 25th, Lyman says to David, if Dan is here today, I'm asking him out. And sure enough, who walks into the gym? The mighty Dan. Lyman rushed over to him, and in the middle of Dan doing reverse curls, now he's doing dips.
Hey,
Lyman said,
Hey, we gotta go out.
Just like that, actually.
and actually that's what I heard. And Dan said,
Okay.
pretty much that was what Dan said too. Now Lyman took Dan on their very first date to Winks in his cherry red Firebird, and the rest, as they say, ladies and gentlemen, is history.
Hello? Hello?
I just wanted to let you know I'm back from a cruise.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Zimmerman.
Oh my God, it's so great to see you.
Did he get you?
Dan has officially been had, and now, in true funny business tradition, this all ends with what else could it be? A musical number. There she is.
Wait, we don't want these.
I haven't seen Sean in
Neither of us.
23 years.
Neither of us have been
Longer than we've been together.
Hi. I'm so happy that you're a lot of people now.
You are for sure.
I'm so glad that he finally got you.
Okay. Come on. Oh, let's.
Yeah. Are you ready? Are you ready?
No, I'm not ready. Here, Dan, let me see.
You're not gonna leave those on? Hi.
If we stood on our tiptoes, we could peek over the sill, and once in a while we would see a girl slowly walking up the hill, and we'd think, what a sad situation to go outside on your own, to go through the town with no playmate, to go through life all alone. I will never leave you. I will never go away. We were meant to share each moment. Beside you is where I will stay. Evermore and always will be one, though we're two. For I will never leave you. When the day is filled with shadows that stretch into the night, I am filled with your sweet comfort, like morning fills with light. I will never leave you. I will never go away. We were meant to share each moment. Beside you is where I will stay. Evermore and always will be one, though we're two. For I will never leave you. I will never leave you. I will never leave you. I will never go away. We were meant to share each moment. Beside you is where I will stay. That's where I will stay. Evermore will be one, though we're two. I know we're two. For I will never, I will never, I will never leave
And now we'd like to do a toast. So,
All of you might know that that's a very popular song from Hamilton. If you haven't seen it, I realize it's expensive tickets.
Let's come over here. Do we have everybody over here? Oh yeah, Dan, right. It's all Dan.
Enough about Dan.
I do want to say that I have known Dan Lyman since their beginning, and I have known Dan. I actually hired Dan when I worked in Colorado at a place called Career Track, and Dan was coming out of Up With People. He was a tech genius kind of guy, and we were doing professional
I wonder if I was
development.
coming back from career track on our trip. It's possible.
Well, you had enough with people tag on.
No, but it was
No,
like
no.
I was coming back from a training gig in
We're gonna have to
Minneapolis.
rework that script.
Yeah, you might have had a role.
I didn't tell all. I don't know who wrote the script. The script was great. But, so I hired Dan to do these seminars in Microsoft. He did fascinating seminars on Microsoft Word and Excel.
So exciting.
But as a result of that, can I tell this story?
I don't know what story you're going to tell. But yes.
As a result of that, I wasn't from Kansas City. No, as a result of that, I was. Dan did very well in royalties. He did an amazing job for our company and amazing stuff. And it also provided Dan the opportunity to go and open his own business. And that's part of the move down to Phoenix. So I feel very connected to Dan Lyman because of all those years, you know, and it's pretty incredible. So I wanted to say thank you all for coming out. I love these two gentlemen dearly, just as much as you all do. Your combined love and support, all the family that is here today. I can't tell you how important that is for all of us, for you to be here. Thank you for traveling from all over to come here. And for all of you for traveling, thanks for missing the wedding. You know, not everyone can be invited, and not everyone can afford to go to Maui. And anyway, to Dan Lyman. Love you.